to order and
Okay, the meeting is now recording.
okay. This is May 10th, 2022, 5:30 p.m. Calling to order the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Katuitt Fire District. Currently present, Commissioner Pisano,
Commissioner Zace,
and we are awaiting Commissioner Conley's appearance. Also present is Chief Brown. Is there any note of public comment?
There is nothing in the chat, and I have received no emails, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we will get back to that at the end of the meeting. I don't want to move too quickly along. We'll give Kevin another minute to
It
show
looks
up.
like, it appears that he's logging in now. I just admitted him, and
Good.
the connection is probably buffering.
Right, then we will pause. I wonder if he's logging in from somewhere remote.
well, I think by definition, with a Zoom, you're remote, right?
I just mean if he's on some hotel Wi-Fi system that's, got a chipmunk running an exercise wheel or something.
And it looks like he's dropped, so I'll wait a moment or whatever your pleasure is, sir, to.
No, let's wait a minute. If he's trying to get in, let's see if he can. There he is.
Yeah.
Welcome, sir. You're mute.
Apologies on my tardiness.
There we go. Okay, I had already called the meeting to order and there was no initial public comment, so we are going to pick up with review and approval of the previous meeting minutes. I looked at them and had no problem with anything. Have you guys had a chance to take a peek?
Yep, no problems for me either.
No issues, all good.
All right, I would look for a motion to accept as presented.
As stated,
Second,
In favor, Pisano?
Conley,
Zace,
Okey doke. Chief, we're into the report, starting with monthly activities.
Yes, sir. For the month of April, we had 7 total responses, 39 EMS, 3 hazardous conditions, 7 service calls, 3 good intent, 17 false alarms, and 1 severe weather incident. We did have a storm come through one evening during the month that caused some activity, including a smoke in the building call from an electrical issue. Fortunately, no significant damage. It did require a furnace to be replaced, but no fire in the building, fortunately. It was an opportunity to exercise a response to a potential bigger incident as it came in as a potential building fire. So it allowed us to observe that status and response. I continue to be impressed by the level of responses and care that our personnel provide to the community. There's been some significant medical responses that they've been to, and again, the acuity has been high, and the care that they provide has met the demands of the services equally as high, and the personnel to be commended for their capabilities and the service that they provide.
awesome.
Hey, let me piggyback on that for a second. In the past month, I've had occasion to have conversations with half a dozen different residents of the village who unsolicited spoke very positively to their experience with the department helping out with a number of things, including lock boxes, smoke detector problems, things that other people weren't aware were even available, service to them. And so I realized, as we had talked about back when we were initially uh, reviewing your application and then hiring, the outreach to the community and the publicity about what the department does and what's available is something that we can really continue to build on, because there's a lot of good stuff, and when the people do encounter it, produces a very positive response.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that feedback, and we will continue those efforts. The outreach efforts have been ongoing, and as we had discussed, early on during that onboarding process, I continue to, as well as all of the crews, continue to engage the stakeholders in the community to build and strengthen those relationships.
Hey, Chief, along those lines, just a quick comment. When you get a chance, if you could take a look at getting back with the Katuitt Currents, the Chief's Corner. It's not something, it's new to you. It's something that we had been doing. And I think we've missed probably a couple at this point. But if you could take a look back at that, I think that's a good tool to get out to the community as well.
Great, yeah, I'll take a look at the back issues on that and then reach out. I have been in contact with Jim Danhauser, I believe is his name,
Yeah.
to arrange a meet and greet evening with the Civic Association, as well as I'll be in attendance at the upcoming meeting that will be profiling the district meeting and candidates and budgets and things of that nature.
Right. That's Teresa Egan that runs the Currents, isn't it? Isn't she the one that sends out requests for input from the Civic Association?
I'm not sure. I know that we had a spot in there. It kind of fell
Yeah,
off.
it's Teresa Egan.
Okay.
Yeah, but we did have a spot in there that Chief Root had talked to him about, so it just kind of fell off. And that's okay. That happens. And I think it's just a good way to, get messages out to the community. That's all.
Yeah, it's a well-read little newsletter in the village. So. Okay, Chief, back to you.
All right, so that that is the incident responses. As far as the monthly activities, in addition to the incidents, we've had a significant amount of ongoing training. We've had 46. Let's see, I'm trying. We've created a new report for the training activities, but we've been engaging a lot of on-duty training with building walkthroughs, stretching hose lines. We have vehicle extrication coming up on the 20th of this month. So the crews have been out there, again, practicing their craft and honing their skills. We have some training topics that we are working on across the board with each group. And those are kind of broken up by 2 topics per month, as well as we are trying to continue with the monthly drills as well, with getting everybody in at the same time to ensure that all the folks are learning the same material together. And then I can get into the administration section of the report now, if you'd like.
Please.
Okay,
Yep.
very good. So I've been in contact with Cape Forward to discuss the potential contract. I did speak with the principal of that organization. She is working on a fee schedule and some potential options of what a contract could look like. And I'll bring that back to you folks to decide what it is that we're hoping to have in that contract, as far as an a la carte versus a very defined contract. I'll bring options back to you. So those conversations just started last week, and she's going to put something together for me to review. Financial management software. I have a demo scheduled tomorrow at 12:30 with yes, tomorrow at 12:30 with one of the possible solutions for some of our budgeting and PO processing. And that product is in use and was recommended by another fire district that transitioned from a similar budgeting process to Katuitt as far as managing everything on spreadsheets. And it was well within what the at least what they're paying and had paid, as well within the warrant that is on the agenda for the next village meeting. Mutual aid, we have I had a meeting with Chief Phelan from Mashpee. It was a very positive meeting. They've taken, I think, very concrete positive steps towards addressing some of the concerns that had existed here in the village with the department and the board. So we've resumed normal EMS mutual aid operations with Mashpee. We'll continue to monitor that and ensure that mutual aid remains mutual, and I'm confident that it will be. We're exploring resuming the 2 district mutual aid districts in the village and going back to having District 1 and 2, so that we are not we're not overburdening any one department when we have a response to the village. So we've met with the COM and the dispatch folks over there, and I'll be working with Chief Burke from Sandwich as well as the county to get the cards updated, and more to come on that.
That's a
And
real positive development. I'm glad to hear that. I hope it works out.
yeah, so far, I've been monitoring things, just keeping my ear to the radio, and I'm fairly comfortable that we're heading in the positive direction with that and heading in the right direction. So, and then, so under, let's see, that's what I have under administration right now. Personnel, the deputy chief application closed on April 29th. We had 17 applicants. Once I went through everything, where I've pared that down, and I've been in touch with the area fire chief, who is going to assist on the board, waiting to hear back from the local on a representative for the interview panel. And then once I have those ironed out, I'll be requesting through the chair to see if there's a representative from the board that would like to sit on that panel. And then hopefully I'll start scheduling those. Well, actually, I'd like to start scheduling them, making calls to the candidates tomorrow, hopefully sometime, and start setting up the interviews, but for hopefully next week.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Do either of you have a strong preference to be the board representative on that? Because I would be happy to do it also, but you're mute, Adam.
Yeah, so I'll defer. I obviously worked with the chief on that.
Yeah, I'd like to be involved finally.
So I was going to defer it to somebody else, is what I was going to say there, Rick. So just wanted to put that out there. I do think as the timing goes on with this thing, we may want to, if we want to try to get something done quickly, I don't know if the chief's going to talk about whether or not we try to do a special meeting to try to move things along, because I think that candidate would have to come in front of the board, correct?
Yes.
Right. So I just, yeah, I'm good to, you call it how you guys want. So I'm good. Thank you.
And Adam, I'd be happy to have you be the representative. Are you gonna, in line with Kevin's last comment, are you gonna have enough time available? Chief, do you know how many interviews you anticipate doing at are you going to do all 17?
No, sir. I have it pared down to right now to 5 to 6 that I intend to reach out to see if they're still interested and available.
Yeah, I mean, if you're thinking of commencing these next week, you're saying?
That's my hope. Yes.
Yeah, here all week.
All right, great. Very good.
Excellent.
So I'll start making phone calls tomorrow and start seeing what the availability is, and we'll yeah, I'd really like to get going with that. There's a lot going on in Katuitt, so it'll be
You've arrived at the busy time.
yeah. So it'd be really great to have that have that position filled. And
Let me just inject a quick comment there, because I'm a little concerned with, I just want to make sure we're straight here. So you're going to try to do things next week. My experience when I tried to herd the cats to do the interviews with the chiefs, that it took more than, a week to try to do that. Right. So, I'm not the one involved, so it's not my calendar I'm commenting about. But I think you're probably looking at interviews next week, the 16th, and then possibly the 23rd as well, I would guess, based on the way things will play out, would be my guess.
yeah, as soon as I have the last person on the board, I have 3 of the 4 now, and then I'll sync our schedules and then start looking at that. Yeah.
And that's all good. I just was saying that because Adam was saying he's here next week. I hope he's here the fall.
Okay.
Well,
I see what you're saying.
so I'm here all month.
Okay.
Good.
Perfect.
And I am certainly open to calling a special meeting anytime during the month that we reach a point where you want to bring a candidate to the board. So keep us abreast of the speed of developments.
Very good. I will definitely do that. Let's see, anything else?
In
Gentlemen,
personnel, you had mentioned an internship.
yes, we will be resuming our relationship with Barnstable High School, and we have meetings coming up. We have Firefighting Profession Connection on the 20th of May, and then we have coming up soon, there's another meeting coming up to meet with the prospective interns to see if there's a match that we're interested in having here in Katuitt. And I know it's on my calendar, I just don't. June 7th, we'll be meeting with internship candidates.
Excellent. Good. I had a question backing up on my list of subheadings here, the Pro EMS report. We hadn't gotten to yet. If there's nothing else in personnel, I'd like to go there. I had two questions
Okay.
about it. The first is that based on the monthly balance, it seems that our activity level increased almost 50% over the previous month, which I think brings us back up more to a typical level for this time of year, after what had been a kind of a slump in activity during, I think it was mostly January and February, but tailing out.
Yeah. So I do have let me just look at our comparison here. Just give me one moment. Okay, my bandwidth is slowing down running the meeting here. So Year to date, we're still down a little bit compared to last year, but overall, our with the exception of, yeah, February was definitely an unusually quiet month looking at the comparison, and March was a little bit uh, closer to what it would normally be, and then April is right in line with April of last year. So with the call volume.
Uh, Still on the EMS report, the other thing that I wanted to ask about is we have picked up in the billing 4 different of the frequently used insurers have outstanding charges that are now more than 6 months late. And we don't normally have to get into the weeds on this kind of stuff because our collection service has most of the time, when I look at this stuff, seems to do a good job of corralling that into shorter intervals for collection. But these are Aetna, Cigna, TRICARE, and Health Plans, Inc. all have charges that are now sitting 180 days plus uncollected. And so I was wondering if you have heard anything from the collection service about particular problems or anything that might account for that. What caught my eye is because these are particularly Aetna and Cigna and TRICARE are, they're major insurers. They usually are pretty good about staying close to current on
Yeah.
this stuff.
Yeah, so I do not have information on that. I'll call Pro EMS and then kind of drill down a little bit into this data and determine what are the drivers in that. So
Okay.
report now.
Yeah, just wanted to bring it to your attention and see if
Yep.
we can get some more input from them about what's going on.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, I will turn it back to you for, we are down to apparatus.
So a fair amount of activity with apparatus. Let's see, so the new 269 is registered, the radios are installed, waiting on the command box and lettering, but it's available for use. The old 269 went to West Barnstable today. We got the surplus paperwork signed by Fran and the West Barnstable representative, and that went over there today. 266 is in the water and dock space was secured for that. 262 is going out for punch list PM items and minor mechanical repairs. It'll be out May 22nd, 23rd, 24th. Was at the county chiefs meeting last week and asked for department to see if anybody had a loaner vehicle for us. So the sister vehicle for one of the sister vehicles for 262 is in Yarmouth, currently out of service mechanical for an inverter. I spoke with the interim chief over there today. They hope to have the potential resolution on that within a day or two, and he's going to call me back and let me know if that's going to be available for us to borrow. Did have a discussion yesterday with the comm mechanic from Centerville, Osterville, and regards to their planning of ambulance purchasing. They met with 2 vendors last week, I believe he said it was. They're looking to spec the 550 gasoline like we may be interested in, and the vendors are telling them now 2 years for delivery. So the 18 months that I've been tracking on based on prior experiences has now increased to 2 years. So I think it's important to have that visibility on that. I'm gonna try to make arrangements, possibly with Mashpee at some point, to see if one of these days we can have them swing by and just reaffirm that we will be able to spec something within the constraints of our facilities that will continue to be a limiting factor or a challenging factor in apparatus specing and purchasing the size of modern fire and EMS apparatus compared to the size of our firehouse here in Katuitt. We'll find out if there's going to be any needed modifications to fit a 550 in here. And generally those do tend to drive up costs when you have to spec things beyond how they are engineered to design. And oftentimes you're building in inherent issues. So not only are you paying more, you're building
Thanks.
problems into your apparatus. So that's just kind of a glimpse at what we have to look forward to should the voters approve the ambulance warrant article in the next fiscal year. But we do want to be able to hit the ground running, so we'll be starting to do our research on what is out there and available. I am interested in trying to, at some point, acquire and retrofit a power load system into the existing 262. All new ambulances need to be spec'd with the power load for the ambulances, and they're expensive, just like just about everything in the medical field now and emergency services. It's about a $50,000 expense. However, it is compared to the cost of a lost time injury, which we did experience here in Katuitt, which by all accounts, a device like this likely could have prevented the injury. So looking at it, certainly there's the human factor, lost time, pain and suffering, and things of that nature that go along with an injury. Strictly from the dollars and cents, and the less human perspective is the amount of overtime to cover that. So, which is significantly more than the cost of the power load. So it's really something I want to have on everybody's radar as a worthwhile investment for the district to explore retroing and then even potentially moving that over into the new ambulance when we purchase that. So I'd like to continue to explore ways to make that happen. So we did, yes, sir.
Two things, if I may, in there. One, if you would like somebody to work a little bit with you on the ambulance and the specking, I'd kind of be interested in seeing how that plays out, just for the informational end of it. So I'd be happy to help you out with that, number one. Number two, did you do any kind of an estimate, or perhaps can you do an estimate on what the cost when we had an injury that this power lift may have kept from happening? Right? Did you do any estimate on what those costs were of that injury?
Yeah, I did run those numbers. I don't have them in front of me, but I plugged in our lowest step firefighter, and I want to say it was somewhere in the range of $110,000 of overtime. I didn't run the full analysis for every vacant shift. There was requirement to fill every shift, and but based on the essentially the lowest paid person, which we know is not the case.
Right.
If the lowest paid person worked every single overtime shift, and not including the percent of benefits, it was around $110,000, I believe, is the number
Okay.
I had.
I get it. So the lowest shift would have been 110,000. However, the person was a medic that went out, so that would have been a higher shift, but so you're above 110,000 most likely. And the cost of the powerless system is how much?
50,000.
$50,000. So by all accounts, less than half, at least less than half of what that cost us. Okay. I think it's good perspective to have. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, thank you for the question.
I mean, anecdotally, almost every time I have a conversation about, ambulance runs and so forth, this does come up. And I think from a risk containment point of view, this is smart money.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you. I agree. The challenge, and this is in full transparency, that, I'm exploring grant opportunities, but in the absence of anything with that is nothing has presented itself at the moment, but in the absence of that, my, I could use a little bit of additional education on that process within our practices here in the district, and as far as the potential for accessing funds. And so, because the opportunity for a warrant is gone by at this point in time, and the need and of the needs of the organization are still coming into the priorities are still developing here over the last 5 weeks, and unfortunately that just was not recognized prior to the warrants being due, that was a high priority item. So
Chief, we have the warrant for the new ambulance.
mhm.
If it is approved, and our long-term intention is that when such a vehicle is delivered, we would transfer the power lift to it. I would pursue with the treasurer whether, if the warrant passes, we're authorized to order the power lift and power loader in advance of the vehicle, use it in the existing vehicle with the intention of installing it on the new wagon when we get it.
Yeah, that's a great idea, and I'll certainly follow up on that. I think if that's consistent with the processes and germane to that, which I believe it would be germane to that project, I think that makes sense, and I will definitely talk with Ray if this warrant passes.
Because if we can get an order in, and get the loader when the existing wagon is back, we'll have a chance to both install it, debug it, have everybody learn the operations on it, reap the benefits of the safety prevention, injury prevention. And if by the time the new vehicle is actually available, if because of pre-spending 50,000, there is any shortfall in it, we'll probably have 2 more fiscal years lead time to get an additional supplemental warrant to cover whatever cost we pre-spent.
Great. Yeah, thank you.
I'd like to find out if there's any obstacle to it, because I just don't see any point in waiting if that's an available option.
Sure.
I don't know if the two of you are in agreement with that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a creative way of going about it.
And I'll actually ask Ray tomorrow. I have a meeting with him on another item, on that software. So when I'm with him tomorrow, I'll ask him his thoughts on that, just so we can start checking as many of those boxes as we can. So again, should it be approved in July, we have as much of our groundwork done as possible to get moving on the project.
Excellent. Yeah, and if the warrant passes, the other thing that I'm never clear about with these budgets, because it's not my forte, if it passes at the end of May, can we go ahead and place the order for the new vehicle immediately in June, even though it's still fiscal 22 for another year? Or do we have to wait till 23?
It's a great question. There may be some arcane rules of procurement in the public sphere. Yeah, I don't know. Great question.
My prior experience, again, the format's a little bit different with the district structure than in the city budgeting process that I came from, but my prior experience is that those funds are generally the POs can't be issued on anything prior to July 1. But I'll certainly ask Ray as well.
Okay, well, if we can have it stamped and ready to go, stamped, that's how old I am. But. good,
Sealing wax?
okay. Yes, I
Sealing
have a
wax?
signet ring that I put on that.
Okay, nice.
Okay, facilities.
Facilities, camera monitors are installed in the kitchen, and the lieutenant's office, thanks to firefighter Emerson. And we're going to assess the need for additional coverage in the station and see what we have for needs versus what we have for available budget on any additional camera coverage. There is another entrance on the south side of the building that is not covered by any cameras at this time. So, and then there could probably be a little bit better coverage on the front ramp. So, so we'll look at that versus, again, what we have left for money in that project, that capital project, and kind of react or adjust accordingly. So the flooring issues have been finalized with the vendor, and I've kind of saw that through, and we've purchased the pads for the rolling chairs, and have addressed that issue and to protect it from any future damage as well. So I believe that is what I have for facilities, if there are not any other questions.
No, that covers my end. You
No
guys?
questions?
Okay. Right, with that, old business. Kevin, do I understand you're running unopposed this year?
To the best of my knowledge, sir, that is the case.
As I saw the Civic Association notice about candidates night, and they had you, Fran, and John Gardner for the 3 available positions, didn't name anyone else. I guess it could be write-in possibilities, but
And that's what I saw. That's my point of reference as well.
okay, so one of the reasons I'm asking is because preceding the candidates introducing themselves is the discussion of the draft budgets. So the chief and I will be presenting the budget and the articles and opening for questioning. And if you are running unopposed, then it's not likely that you will need to particularly get involved in that as part of your presentation. I'm cognizant of open meeting law stuff and things, but they have the candidates presentation pretty well segregated from the budget part. So, okay, the presentation last night at the Prudential meeting reviewed the articles that we were going to be submitting. And we are asking for the 5,000 for the financial management software package, and we're asking for is it 365? I don't have it written down in front of me, for the new ambulance for those two. And we have in the presentation of the long-term capital budget, we have the markers that we're presenting for fire station, but they are not going to be in any particular article. So I just wanted to review this with the two of you and make sure we're all on the same page about this is what's going to be presented. Do you have any concerns or reservations? Is there anything I should be alert to?
No, I attended the meeting last night as well, and I don't have any, I forget the exact number, but I think you're in the right ballpark for the nearest term capital, well, the actual warrant. Yeah, but no, I think it'll be, we may get at the actual annual district meeting, there may be some interesting conversations, but no, I think it's fine.
Good.
I'm good.
Then the last thing under old business were subcommittee reports. I can tell you that the bylaws committee presented a number of suggestions to Prudential, and there was a lot of discussion about it. I wasn't ecstatic about the nature of the discussion. I thought that the work the bylaws committee had done in terms of trying to clean up and make consistent the language of the bylaws was worth more attention than it seemed to get. And there, Adam, I think Carol voiced some of her concern about that as well. But that's their prerogative. So they're going to make some presentations. I have not seen the final wording of what those articles will be at the annual district meeting, but some of the suggestions were incorporated. And that's all I have for bylaws.
So there has been no further meeting of the entire subcommittee for the Katuitt School issue. I do know that talks continue to be had with the negotiating committee, but that has yet to be presented to the committee in its entirety. I think the only thing I could say of substance is that it appears that the talks continue to proceed, and who knows where it's going to go. The Policy Advisory Committee did meet on May 2nd. There were two items that were discussed. I do not know, it was certainly not presented last night at the Prudential meeting by Seth. He was not there. And I don't know whether there's going to be any chance for that prior to the ADM. But, and I just got the minute transcript and I was going over it. I think there's some things that I want to clear up on that. But so I don't necessarily want to take a lot of time to present those yet, because I don't think they're completely formed. So I'll report about that on at the next one meeting.
Just by way of sharing, I don't know if everybody else had heard, but I had heard that the town has completely shut off the heating system in the old school building and drained everything down, which was
Right, I heard that, but it wasn't from a meeting. Yes, I heard that. Sort of.
It's a concern because the potential is still there for the district to consider that building. And if it's going to be allowed to further fall apart the way the Marston Mills, was that their elementary or secondary middle school building has?
I believe it was an elementary, but I could be wrong.
So, there's two of them over there that are shut down, but it seems like they really let the bigger one over by the recycling center is just it wouldn't be worth trying to salvage, in other words, and was upset to think that the same thing could befall this building before a decision is made. limit our options. But
Yeah.
anyhow, just wanted to throw that out. Kevin, your committees?
Yeah, so I think the only committee we have open right now is the committee on the health committee. And the firefighters have, firefighter Lee and firefighter Casey have come forward with an option to the chief, and we're scheduling time to sit down. The group of us, probably 4 of us, to take a look at what they have, and we'll move forward as appropriate from there.
Okay. I don't have anything else under old business, and nothing else came up for new business. So are we, do we have any other public comment, anything on chat, any email?
There are no messages in the chat, and there are no emails, Mr. Chairman.
All right, in light of that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
In favor, Pisano.
Conley,
Ace?
Thank you, gentlemen.
thanks.
Take
Hey,
care,
Chief,
be
nice
well.
job. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Good job.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you.
You too.